Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in the top left-hand side our Grandmaster's Blue Zerg Hordeon, and his opponent in our bottom right, Socket, our Red Zerg. I don't know if he's in Masters or Grandmasters. Honestly, I don't know if Hordeon's still in Grandmasters because I know he was teetering on the edge, and it's such a volatile league. You snap into it, you snap out of it, and really the skill difference between Masters Grandmasters so very, very slight. No reason why if one person's up a league or down a league you don't see a pretty cool matchup anyway. The skill level very neck and neck. We are on Belshir Vestige, and if you guys notice, the setup's a little bit different. This is that really neat thing that Blizzard has implemented, the custom UI. I'm trying it out. I think it looks banging. Just because you select something, it's just down here. There's so much more room for activities. You've got the units, the supply depot thing. I threw my own little cat picture up here, but there's also supply behind that. I found that kind of redundant, and the map is just absolutely massive. You get to hide the timer, which is right here. I am absolutely head over heels with this. This is so freaking fantastic, and it makes casting ZVZ a hell of a lot easier. Just because you get to see those massive surrounds with the Roach Hydra armies, those massive back and forth with the Zergling on Baneling fights. And it allows just a lot more freedom. It shows you the upgrades as they come, so whenever someone gets that speed upgrade or that +1 upgrade for the mutas later on, it's super important, and it's the custom UI is just banging. Team Liquid did this, the website rather, and I am head over heels for it, and it looks like it's a hatch first coming out of Hordeon. Very ballsy, but it's going to be matched by Socket because he has over 300 minerals himself and a drone already in the area, so just basically 20 seconds behind one way or another, not the most massive of economic edges. And it looks like a spawning pool's going down. You can get away with this on Vestige, but probably nowhere else. It's super risky, especially if somebody was going for something like a 10 pool, which exists. It still exists. People still do it, even on the ladder. Rarer in the ladder than in a tournament setting, but it still is a risk that you have to run, and even against a 15 pool it can be difficult to hold off. But once you get to the Grandmasters level, you can usually finagle your way out of it with some really clever drone micro, as long as your opponent's not being perfectly ballsy. So this is really neat. I like this a lot. Both players are probably going to be playing a little bit more passive just because they're going for that land grab early on. You switch over to the economic tab, 17/70, but Socket has already started on that gas income, which means he's going to be getting an earlier speed, which means he's probably going to be trying to punish Hordeon for grabbing that early hatchery. But he has always grabbed his own hatchery, so he's probably not going to back it up with too many Zerglings. It's probably only going to be a one and done, just one round of Zerglings, and then switch back over to that drone income. If he was continually trying to batter down the front door, he'd pretty much have to destroy the hatchery in order to cut even with that. Just because you need that saturation, you need that continual gas income so that you can be working on the higher tech level of stuff. So as long as Socket doesn't get hung up on it, or he causes massive damage, one way or another, it's definitely going to be two different pathways. Two queens started up for both players, so they're going to be able to do those quick larva injects. Speed also pretty much neck and neck for both players, but there's that extra gas income for Socket is going to be spent for those Banelings, and that is going to signal him as the aggressor, I believe. It's possible that's going to be more of a defensive Baneling nest, but if it was, the timing of it would be significantly more delayed. We see that Hordeon hasn't grabbed it at all yet, but it's probably because he's waiting for those Zerglings to come out. Really clever here from Socket, taking his pathway on the right side. I don't know if you noticed, because I didn't point it out, but the drone from Socket actually took this right pathway on the minimap, but I could point it out because the minimap's like half the screen right now. But he's taking the right pathway, which is not patrolled by any of the overlords from Hordeon. It is one of the more direct paths, but it's still a little bit off to the side, and it allows him to sneak his Zerglings in here, pretty much not warning Hordeon at all. He gets in right before the spawn crawler was thrown down. Only a handful of the Zerglings survive and make their way in, and with 4 more Zerglings on the production tab for Hordeon, as well as the double queens at both of the expansions, he's really not going to suffer too many workers killed. Just one worker going down really doesn't justify this attack, but it does justify the scouting. Very clever. Speed just now finishing up, as you can see on the upgrades tab. 14 more Zerglings coming out for Socket, though, and this is what I was talking about, that second wave. He had a wave of drones in between this, and this second wave is definitely delayed. He is going to be pushing out with a little bit more aggression. Probably expect to see a couple banelings thrown into the mix. The saturation done with the natural is pretty large, but that spine crawler is up. So Hordeon does have a nice defense if those banelings come in from the right side, though they'll only suffer 1 or 2 hits before they get in on these drones. Hordeon isn't Grandmasters, though. I mean, he's got some nice unit control. He'll be able to box those drones and get them out of trouble very, very quickly. This gap right here can be clogged up by the Queen if Hordeon is on top of things. The Zerglings are positioned on the right side. Will they morph into banelings? No, they will not. Here comes the run by going past, but oh no, the move command, or the attack command to the bottom left-hand side makes them attack the Zerglings and the Queen that were placed into a defensive posture. The Queen does get targeted down, and only a handful of the Zerglings remain. Once again, 0 economic damage being dealt, and you can see that Hordeon's up by about 5 harvesters right now. And the Zerglings are going to get cleaned up. Will they? Yeah, he's just running that single Zergling into the top left side to see if a Spire has been thrown down. We can see quite a lot of gas is being tanked right now for Hordeon, and he has that lair tech up, which is super important because Socket's still on hatch tech. He has his third in the bottom left hand side, and that third is about to be popping, but Hordeon throws down his Spire, so the Spire's going to be up. The Mutalisks are going to be up well before that third starts to pay dividends for Socket, and that's super, super key. That means that Socket's going to have to be defending 3 different bases with pretty much just queens, maybe a couple of spores if he gets in there and scouts. And that Zergling run by would have been absolutely glorious for Socket if he had timed it in such a way to have seen that that Spire is going up. Right now, all he's got is a suspicion. He's up against a 2-base Zerg. Of course, there's going to be a Spire up eventually, but how much damage have I been doing on these attacks? How much land has Hordeon grabbed? Does he have a hidden expansion somewhere else? Here comes a scouting party of just 4 Zerglings. It's going to be poking up into the top right-hand corner, I can only assume. Going to be seeing that third's going up, but the timing is so very, very late. Probably Hordeon's going to have to cancel this hatchery. Oh, he's got plenty of Zerglings to defend it, but this is probably going to have some trouble against that secondary wave of Zerglings coming up from Socket. I really like that new skin on the Zerglings. I don't really like the new skin on the Overlords, but I think Socket's going to come out on top of this battle. Switch over to the units tab, 4 over 3, and then 6 Zerglings for surviving from Socket, but another wave of Zerglings on the production tab for Hordeon. Here they come. It looks like they're going to be taken down, and I don't think Hordeon's going to have any more trouble defending this hatchery. Good reflexes there, and a good instinct for Socket to check out that top right. The Spire is done. All that gas has been spent. We have 8 Mutalisks on the production tab, and those Mutalisks are going to be having a field day in the bottom left-hand side. Socket throwing down 2 spores, and he has not scouted the Spire, so this is simply because of the timing of that hatchery. This is super key, and this is awesome instincts from him. He's going to have that spore up. It's going to help him defend. He's got so many queens out right now. 7 queens. Oh my goodness. So Socket has a lot of anti-air, but it's not going to be the most mobile anti-air. He's almost connected his creep to the third, which is awesome. And the Zerglings are sacrificing themselves, trying to do a little bit of damage to the Spore Crawler, but Socket is doing a nice transfuse on the Spore Crawler. Will it go down? Oh, there goes another transfuse, keeping it up. The Mutalisks are rebuffed just by the sheer volume of queens, as well as the static defense of that Spore Crawler doing just extra massive damage against those biological units, those biological flying units, those Mutalisks, basically. Nothing else. The +1 on the air, units on the production tab right now, +1 range, +1 melee coming up for Socket. Where is the Hydralisk Den? He's got an Infestor Pit down. He needs a Hydralisk Den out pronto. What is this? This is another Spore Crawler. He'll probably get those Hydras sooner rather than later just because of that +1 range that we can see being constructed. It's probably not for just the infested Terran that could be created by the Infestor Pit, but maybe we're going to see a Roach Hydra composition. Maybe he's going to be relying on those Infestors. That's a very, very difficult road to hoe, though. Those Infestors trying to throw down fungal growths on all these Mutalisks, especially when controlled by Grandmasters, is so very difficult. There goes the Pathogen Glands. So, man, Socket's going to be rolling the dice on that one, and it can pay massive dividends, especially if you can hold them down, allow the queens to wail on them, maybe hold them down where these 2 Spore Crawlers can go to town. But man, it's risky. It's very, very risky. Static defenses defending the third in the bottom left-hand side. Socket is pretty much even on drone count, but he's had that third for a significant amount of time. It looks like Hordeon's Mutalisks are going to be pushing into the second, and so many of these Zerglings pushing into the top right, doing quite a lot of damage. And it looks like they're going to clean up that hatchery, forcing Hordeon to retreat with all of his Mutalisks, going to town. The queen has gone down completely, and it looks like finally we can see some workers killed in the favor of Socket. At the same time, a counter strike from the Zerglings in the bottom left-hand side from Hordeon fails to do any significant damage, fails to even up this workers kill tab. It looks like that hatchery does indeed go down right whenever their Mutalisks arrive for Hordeon. But remember, Hordeon already has up the Mutalisks, has an intimidating force of Mutalisks. 23 Mutalisks on the field. I saw 6 in the production tab. Plus 1 weapon is going to be finishing up. He's going to be missing this gas income significantly. He doesn't have that extra gas income. Hordeon's going to have to make something happen right now, because as time goes on, Socket has invested heavily into tech now. He's got those Hydralisks up. He's got 9 Infestors on the way. This next fight is definitely going to be the cincher for Hordeon. He needs to equalize the amount of damage he's just taken, and this could be it. The Zerglings pushing in, trying to get a surround, trying to box those queens out, one-shotting the queens with so many of those Mutalisks. He's got like 30 Mutalisks. Holy crap. And where are the Infestors? There goes a whiffed fungal growth. Oh no, the fungal growth totally missed. 2 more Infestors coming in, but where's the control from Socket? He needs the fungal growth. The Mutalisks, nice split there from Hordeon, making it so only 3 of the Mutalisks were caught with that fungal growth. Another whiffed fungal growth. Oh, Socket. No, Socket. No. Oh man, so many of the Mutalisks were bundled up like that, but it's so very, very hard to get the fungal growths that you need against those Mutalisks because of the range. The ball moves so very, very slowly, and Hordeon's just bouncing around like a schizophrenic Sonic, just going from target to target to target, and it's so very difficult to do that. Those fungal growths could have been the game-winning motion for Socket. However, just not being able to nail them, not being able to nail the Mutalisks to the ground and allow his anti-air to do the damage. And then again, just the ridiculous number of Mutalisks. Even after that huge fight, he's still got 20 of them on the field. And before that, I think he had close to 30. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So Hordeon, Grandmaster, takes it. ZVZ is still incredibly stressful, but I like this new UI. If you guys have any comments for it, let me know. One way or another. I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. Bye.